Hello students, today we'll study another poem from your class 12 syllabus from your book Flamingo. The name of the poem is A Thing of Beauty and it is written by John Keats. Now in this particular video, I'm going to give you the detailed explanation of the poem, the various poetic devices which have been used in the poem, the theme of the poem and the important question answers related to the poem. Now coming to knowing about the poet John Keats, he was born on 31st October 1795 and died on 23rd February 1821. He was an English romantic poet. He was one of the main figures of the second generation of romantic poets along with Lord Byron and P.B. Shelley. He died from tuberculosis at the age of 25. So he was very young. So just imagine, he became so famous, his poetry was so famous that he within the age of 25 he had written such good poetry that he is still remembered even today. The poetry of Keats is marked by vivid imagery, great sensual appeal, and an attempt to express philosophy through classical legend. It is believed that he had started studying medical as a profession, but since he was more inclined towards poetry, so he had left medical profession. Some of his most acclaimed works are Ode to a Nightingale, Sleep and Poetry, and the famous sonnet on first looking into a chapman's Homer. His poem, A Thing of Beauty, is one of the most famous poems ever written in English literature. And whenever we write an article or anything about beauty, so this is the most quoted line, A Thing of Beauty is a joy forever, which is the first line of the poem. Coming to the background of the poem, this poem, Thing of Beauty, is extracted from his long poem Endymion, which was a poetic romance. This poem is based on a Greek legend in which Endymion, a beautiful young shepherd and poet who lived on Mount Latmos, had a vision of Cynthia, the moon goddess. Now, actually what happens, Cynthia was so enamored by the beauty of Endymion that she descended from heaven and kissed Endymion and went away. Now he woke up and the enchanted youth resolved to seek her out and so wandered away through the forest and down under the sea. Now this poem is an extract from that particular poem. Now there is a use of allegory in this entire poem. This story, Endymion, has been interpreted as an allegory. Now, what is an allegory? It is a narrative fiction of the quest of human soul for ideal beauty. We always search for an ideal beauty in our lives. Endymion stands for the poet as man who is continuously searching for ideal beauty. Cynthia, the moon goddess, is the ideal beauty, and moon is the manifestation of beauty which is present in nature. So in this particular poem, poet just does not talk about the physical beauty. He also talks about beauty which is present in nature. So according to him, anything which is beautiful is very joyful and it leaves an indelible impression on the minds of whosoever he sees it. Now, coming to the theme of the poem rests in the opening line of the poem. That is, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. A beautiful object is treasured in our mind because it provides us eternal and everlasting joy. When you see something beautiful, don't you feel nice? So same thing, it creates an eternal and everlasting joy in your mind. This happiness never fades into nothingness but multiplies manifold whenever it flashes into our mind. So you are seeing something beautiful, it is refreshing your soul, your eyes, and whenever you are thinking about it, again, it brings the same positive and beautiful thoughts in your mind. So joy multiplies every time we think about it. So the loveliness of a thing of beauty goes on increasing with the passage of time. Every time you're thinking about it, the loveliness increases. The feelings of serenity and positive vibrations it inculcates, soothe and relax our turbulent mind. Now, the entire poem has a typical rhyme scheme, that is AABBCC. Now, coming to the first line, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases, it will never pass into nothingness. The poem begins with a very famous line, a thing of beauty is a joy forever, which means that a beautiful thing provides an eternal and everlasting joy to us because it leaves an indelible imprint on our minds and we relive the joyful experience whenever we think about it. As I said, joy multiplies every time we think about it and every time you think about it, you feel nice. So further the poet says that the joy multiplies with every beautiful thought. Its loveliness of a beautiful thing increases manifold each time we visualize it in our minds. This means that the joy a beautiful thing provides is eternal, it is everlasting, and it never fades away or goes waste. So coming to the next lines, but we'll keep a bower quiet for us. Now, bower is a shady place. Now, suppose if you are having a very hot season and suddenly you find something, a shady place around, you feel very nice. So, similarly, beauty also creates a bower, a kind of a refreshing thing for our minds and a sleep full of sweet dreams. So, if you're having some tension in your mind, you're not able to sleep peacefully. Similarly, whenever we are thinking about something beautiful, it brings you sweet dreams because you're feeling nice, and it is a source of health, and it's a beauty is a source of health and nutrition for us. And quiet breathing, because now your mind is refreshed, you are thinking peacefully. So that is why it is talking about the importance of beauty, how it refreshes your mind, it soothes you. So the poet further says that the joy beauty gives to us is similar to the joy of a blissful sleep, which is full of pleasant dreams. The reference implies to the sense of peace and serenity that we experience on seeing beautiful things. The impression of beauty keeps on lurking in our mind and remains preserved in the memory in the form of sweet dreams which revive and flash upon our mind in our sleep. So beautiful sights act like nutrition for a healthy mind and refresh and relax us by driving away the aggression and restlessness. So Keats is believed to be a worshipper of beauty, and he feels that life on earth would not be worth living without its street of beauty. A beautiful object also gives us good health and peace, keeping our lives free of all the turmoil and tumult. Now coming to the poetic devices which are being used in this particular poem, these two lines. Metaphor is the poetic device when we use the word bower quiet. The bower quiet means the calmness of the bower. The calmness of the shady place is compared to the calming effect of a beautiful thing on our minds. So there is a comparison, and without the usage of as or like, so this is a metaphor. Now coming to the next lines. Therefore on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth. Morrow means morning. So that is why every morning we try to uh, create a wreath of beautiful thoughts. Now this is a picture of a wreath. Like you must have seen the wreath in generally when you go abroad, these flowery wreaths you can see it is a kind of hanging on the doors. People put these wreaths on the doors to create a beautiful image. So it says that every morning we think about beautiful thoughts to bind us to the earth, to balance the negativity that is there in our life. So similarly, it says that he poet draws a conclusion that since the beautiful things gives us eternal happiness, every morning we renew our link with the nature when we weave a band of flowers, think of beautiful thoughts, to keep our bond with nature constant and unbroken. In these lines, the poet wants to express that every morning we human beings are trying to wreath a flowery band. We are trying to inculcate in us all good values, virtues, actions, and thoughts to bind us to the people of the earth. He feels that life on earth would be a pain without beauty at all. Now, coming to the poetic devices which have been used, band to bind. So, burr, burr is the sound which is being repeated, so it is alliteration. Wreathing a flowery band, if you see, wreathing a flowery band, the beautiful things of life bind us to the earth, that is, they are connecting to the nature and thinking of beautiful thoughts. So the comparison of beautiful thoughts is that of a flowery band. So there is a comparison which is being made without the usage of as or like, so it is metaphor. Now, whenever you think about a flowery band, an image of a flowery band, that is a wreath, comes into your mind. So the poet is using imagery here. He is creating a sensory effect of beautiful things which is lined up with a string. So that is again imagery is being used. And spite of despondence. Spite means hatred. Despondence means hopelessness. When you see there is so much of hatred, so much of malice against each other, there is so much of jealousy, greed, which is there in the world. So it creates a feeling of hopelessness in your life. So of the inhuman dearth of noble natures. Dearth means kami. When you see people who are not actually noble, who do not feel empathy for other people, people who do not who lack the virtues that God has provided us with. So when you see all this, then you feel gloomy. Gloomy means sad. Of the gloomy days of unhealthy and overdarkened days. Now what are the sad days? When you're going through a low phase of life, when you're going through the unhealthy and overdarkened phase, talks about the low phase of your life, when you're going through the trials and tribulations of life, when God is testing you, made for our searching. Made for our searching means how will that person react if I give you this sort of a situation. So there are two kind of people. If you see in history, if you see Abraham Lincoln, you see any great leader, you will see they have gone through very low phases of life and they have come out victorious. So it is up to you whether you will come out victorious or whether you will perish with that test. So it says that of the unhealthy and overdarkened ways, when God is trying to test you and that you're going through a low phase in life, when you're going through that testing time, so made for our searching, when we are trying to search ourselves, how much strength and resilience that is there in us. So the poet further says that man is selfish and self-centered by nature. There are only a few who enjoy the nobility of character and rise above their petty differences. So despair and disappointment are an integral feature of life. When you see that there is so much of hatred amongst people, so you feel despaired. So we often suffer pain and hopelessness due to the dearth of goodness and nobility in human nature which is present in people. The selfish and inhuman nature makes us very gloomy and overshadow our happy thoughts. The gloomy and overdarkened ways refer to the problems and sufferings man encounters in this journey of life when you go through the testing times. So coming to the poetic devices, noble nature, na na, same sound is being repeated, so it is alliteration. Now next is, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. So yes, in spite of all so much of hopelessness, some shape of beauty, anything beautiful, moves away that pall. Pall means the darkness from our dark and evil spirits. You must have seen when you're going through a testing time, somebody, some noble person must be helping you at that point of time. Also, when you see the beauty in the heart of that person, not the physical beauty, maybe the beauty which is present in that person. So you the beauty of that person's soul. So some shape of beauty that moves away the darkness, it removes all away your problems. You say, no, this world is not so bad. So that hope is created back into your mind. So that sadness and that gloominess fades away from your life. So it drives away that sadness and the despair from your life. So it says that in spite of experiencing sadness and remorse, man is able to find the happiness in some form of beauty which drives away the sadness from our dark and gloomy self. According to the poet, beauty in any form helps in driving away the sadness and despair from the dark recesses of our spirit. It helps to get over the low spirits, loss of hope and pain caused by the absence of human values which are around us. Now coming to the poetic devices, some shape, sir, same sound, so it is alliteration. Pall stands for the darkness which is covering like a shroud. So darkness here talks about the absence of good nature here when you see that. So it is, pall is just like a shroud. So it is comparing the darkness to the absence of good self in people. Such is the sun, the moon, the trees, old and young, sprouting a shady boon. Now the poet talks about the beauty which is present in the nature. He says that there are very many beautiful things that you can find. The sun, you see, sun, it burns itself to provide you heat and light. Life on earth would not be possible without the sun being there. Same as the moon. Moon is, as it is considered to be very beautiful. You've seen so many poems which is comparing moon's beauty to people's beauty. And same moon in the dark night, a white moon is a source of hope. Similarly, trees old and young. Trees, as long as they are young, they provide you with fruits, flowers. And when they are old, you cut their wood and you prepare a lot of furniture, etc. for it. So whether they are old and young, they sprout a shady boon. They provide you with shade and which is a kind of a boon, a blessing for you. Now, simple sheep. Now, sheep is synonym of innocence. So poet believes that sheep is innocence is also very beautiful. Now sheep also here stands for Jesus Christ and its followers. So Jesus Christ is considered to be a shepherd, and all his followers are considered to be as all the followers of Jesus Christ are considered to be sheep. So the poet believes that all the people who are the followers of Christ, are also very beautiful because they believe in God. So, and such are the daffodils with the green world they live in. Now, daffodils is this yellow colored flower which is not present in India, but it is found very much abroad. So, according to the poet, these flowers are also very beautiful. In the amongst the greenery of yellow colored beautiful flowers, also a source of beauty. So, the poet sees beauty at its best through the various aspects of nature. He appreciates simple and serene beauty through the images of the sun, the moon, the stars, the trees, whether they are old and young, the sheep, the daffodils, and the green pastures and the meadows. The poet sees trees, whether young or old, as a symbol of protection. They provide us shade, protecting us from the heat and light of the sun and also from the rain. Lambs and sheep are embodiment of innocence and serene beauty. So according to the poet, innocence is very beautiful. Jesus Christ, as an apostle of peace, was a shepherd and was surrounded by his flock of sheep, that is, his followers. The poet also cites the example of eternal beauty as seen in the daffodils, which live surrounded by the splendor of green plants. Now coming to the poetic devices, sprouting a shady wound, sprouting shady, again sir sound, alliteration, simple sheep, sir sound, alliteration. Now trees का image आता है in your mind. So sprouting a shady wound, growing process of daffodils, daffodils with the green world they live in, again an imagery. Now if you see old and young, these are the two opposites which are placed together, or old and young there is a word and in between, so it is antithesis. Agar old young would have been together, then it would have been oxymoron, but this old and young, so and is in between, so it is an antithesis. Now simple sheep refers to mankind, as Christ is considered as shepherd who leads human souls out of the dark world of sins and temptation. So all these imagery of sheep, of sun, of the moon, of daffodils are created in your mind. Now in the next stanza, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make. Rill stands for streams. So according to the poet, in the hot season, if you see some fountain, a stream which is flowing, it is a source of respite for anybody. And the mid-forest brake, rich with the sprinkling of musk rose blooms. Now, musk is a kind of deer which has it emits a very strong fragrance which is used to prepare a lot of perfumes. So musk rose stands for rose which is very beautiful, and musk rose stands for a fragrant rose. So a blooming of a fragrant rose is also very beautiful. So it has the potential to lift up the human spirits and fill it with joy. So according to the poet, so all this musk rose in the dark forest, jungle mein khilta hua musk rose is excellent. And a cooling covert make. Cooling covert stands for the shade which is created by the a kind of respite that is created by the flowing stream in the hot season. The poet feels that these aspects of nature are the greatest gifts of God to us. Clear rills refer to the rivers and streams which are a natural source of water, the elixir of life for men. The beautiful sight provides a cooling effect and a respite in the hot season. Poet then reminds us of the resplendent beauty of the thick ferns found in the forest, which have the fragrant flowers in between. Now the poet basks in the mystifying beauty of this thick forest undergrowth. These ordinary things too have the potential to lift the human spirits and fill it with joy. Now, if you see cooling covert, k sound is being repeated, so it is an alliteration. Now the image of a clear rills gives us an image of a stream which is overflowing. And again, the image of a musk rose, we can see this, sprinkling of the musk rose blooms. You can imagine a musk rose which is blooming in the forest. Now, next, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead. So mighty dead stands for all the brave soldiers who died fighting for their country. So according to the poet, their sacrifice is also very beautiful because for them their country mattered more rather than them. So it was a selfless sacrifice on their part. So that is the grandeur of dreams. According to poet, growth and destruction happen side by side. So this is also very beautiful. So had there been no destruction, we would not have valued growth at all. So all lovely tales we've heard or read about all these brave soldiers are also very beautiful. So the poet feels that life is a blend of warmth and coolness, growth and decay. Every season, every aspect of life is in contrast with the other and has its own charm and beauty. He refers mighty dead to all those great men and warriors who sacrificed their life. The powerful kings and knights who glorified their death rather lived a meaningful and a purposeful life and died for a noble cause. We can see the beauty in their magnificent death as they made their supreme sacrifice. Their noble death gets recorded in the lives of history and are an everlasting source of inspiration to all those who read or hear about such great men. The lives of great people is like a blessing of God to us. Now, if you see have heard is an alliteration, her sound is being repeated, mighty dead, two opposites placed together. Mighty also powerful also, dead as well. So two opposites. Imagery books which are describing the valor of the fighters, the grandeur of the troops we have heard, or the mighty dead. So that is also a so poet here uses a lot of images in our mind. An endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heavens springs. So according to the poet, God could not be everywhere, so he has sent all the beautiful things in the form of an immortal drink, in the form of elixir of life, in the form of a fountain which is falling from the heavens brink. Brink means the edge. So poet believes that since all the beautiful things are kind of a blessings which have been sent to us from heaven by God, so poet wants to suggest that beauty in all respect, whether growth or decay, is a perennial source of motivation. It is an endless fountain from where we can derive the immortal elixir of life. The theme of the poem is that beauty is the greatest gift of God to man, which has been showered upon us from the heavens above. This beauty is eternal and everlasting, in whose glory men bask and derive their source of joy and happiness. This blessing nectar is an elixir and a source of unending peace, a happiness, pleasure, delight, enabling us with the strength to fight the odds of life. Now coming to the imagery, now pouring on to the from the heavens spring. So God is providing a fountain of beautiful things. So we can imagine a fountain which is falling from the heaven and beautiful endless fountain of immortal drinks. So beautiful objects of nature are forever like a never-ending portion of a drink which has been sent from God. So it's a metaphor which has been used. Now coming to the important questions of this particular poem, list the things of beauty which are mentioned in the poem. We have seen, heard also. The things of beauty are the sun, the moon, the old, new trees, daffodils, clear rills, innocence of the sheep, the musk rose that blooms among the thick forest ferns, and the stories of the brave soldiers which are narrating their valor. All these are beautiful things which are being mentioned in the poem. Next question, list the things that cause suffering and pain. The things that cause suffering and pain are the dark phases of our life, the adverse circumstances, the gloomy days, the death of the noble people, and the bad health. What does the line, therefore are we reading a flowery band to bind us to the earth, suggest to you? The line suggests the thing of beauty bind us to the earth with a beautiful connection. We should maintain this friendship, the bond without harming the nature. We think, according to the poet, even if the world is not worth living, because of the innumerable reasons that ultimately result in the gloom and depression, the zeal to live a happy and contented life can be derived from the sight of beautiful bounties of the nature around us. So every morning we are reading, we are creating an image of beautiful thoughts in our minds to actually balance the sadness in our life. So what makes human beings love life in spite of troubles and sufferings? Human beings love life in spite of troubles and suffering because of the existence of several natural and beautiful things around them. These things of beauty never fade. They give joy and optimism to the human mind and thus help in overcoming or bearing the troubles and sufferings. Beautiful things in one form or the other facilitate a life full of radiance and propel us to forget the negative sides of life. Next, why is grandeur associated with the mighty dead? Grandeur refers to the beauty of the noble deeds. The mighty dead are the warriors who have sacrificed their lives for this noble cause. They have left behind a beautiful legacy of their brave acts. Their selfless sacrifice for their nation and deeds for the welfare of mankind still continue to inspire us. Next, do we experience things of beauty only for short moments, or do they make an everlasting impression on us? Poet believes that when we look at a beautiful thing, we experience a moment of joy and happiness, even for a short time. The pleasure remains with us forever. It leaves a lasting impression which inspires us to live life with hope and optimism. What image does a poet use to describe the beautiful bounty of the earth? The poet uses the image of an endless fountain of immortal rain to describe the beautiful bounty of the earth. The earth, like a fountain, pours onto us numerous beautiful things like the sun, the moon, the flowers, rivers, and greenery. We are fortunate to enjoy all these beautiful things like the nectar, the immortal drink, to quench our thirst for seeking pleasure and live a beautiful life without any grudge. And when we see beauty in the human nature also, that is also an elixir for us. Why is there an human dearth of noble nature? In these days, there are few people who are noble in character and who rise above their petty differences by being magnanimous and generous. There is a dearth of such noble souls on our earth, as man is selfish and self-centered. What are the unhealthy and overdarkened ways? The unhealthy and overdarkened ways refer to the trials and tribulations of life when we go through the testing times, when God tests our strength and resilience. Now, I hope you children have understood this poem. Any doubt, you can message me. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, or comment. Thank you. Happy learning.